Rain hits the windshield like bullets. Caleb Hawk grips the steering wheel, knuckles white, eyes locked on the road ahead. The wipers can't keep up. They scream against the glass, fighting a losing battle against the Pacific Northwest storm that came out of nowhere. His tactical gloves are still on. His combat helmet sits on the passenger seat. He hasn't even changed out of his camouflage uniform yet. The American flag patches on his shoulders are soaked through. Then he sees it, a silver SUV, twisted metal, flames licking from the hood, and a woman in a red coat, slumped against the driver's door, blood running down her forehead like a crimson river. Caleb slams his brakes. His truck fishtails on the wet asphalt. The smell of burning rubber mixes with the acrid stench of gasoline seeping from the wreckage. He's out of the vehicle before it fully stops. "Ma'am." His voice cuts through the howling wind. No response. The fire is spreading. He can feel the heat from 20 feet away. The flames dance in the reflection of the rain-soaked highway, casting orange shadows across the pine trees lining both sides of the road. If you've ever wondered what a true hero looks like in real life, keep watching. What happens next will change everything you thought you knew about courage. And what this old woman gives him in return? Nobody in Silver Oak saw it coming. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications, because this story is just getting started. Caleb moves closer. His boots splash through puddles of water and motor oil. The German Shepherd appears from behind the vehicle like a ghost. Massive. Black and tan fur matted with rain, eyes glowing red in the firelight. The dog's lips pull back. A growl rumbles from deep in its chest. Caleb freezes. 12 years as a Navy SEAL taught him many things. How to survive. How to fight. How to read danger before it reads you. This dog isn't just scared. It's ready to kill anyone who gets close to its owner. The woman's chest rises slightly. She's alive. But for how long? Another vehicle's headlights appear in the distance, cutting through the rain. A yellow glow approaching from half a mile away. The fire crackles louder. The gasoline smell grows stronger. Caleb has maybe 90 seconds before this whole scene turns into an inferno. And standing between him and the dying woman is 100 pounds of muscle, teeth, and pure protective fury. What would you do if you had less than 2 minutes to save someone's life? But the only thing standing in your way was ready to tear your throat out. The German Shepherd lunges. Caleb sidesteps. Years of hand-to-hand combat training take over before his brain catches up. He doesn't strike the animal, doesn't reach for it. Instead, he drops to one knee, makes himself smaller. "Easy, boy." His voice is calm, controlled, the same tone he used to defuse hostage situations in places whose names he can't speak aloud. The dog circles him. Rain streams down its black fur. Its eyes never leave Caleb's face. 60 seconds. The fire spreads to the passenger side. The crackling grows into a roar. Heat pulses against Caleb's back like a living thing. "I know you're scared." He keeps his hands visible, open palms. No threat. "I know you love her, but if we don't move right now, we all die here." The woman moans. Her eyes flutter open for just a moment. "Duke," she whispers. Then her head falls again. "Duke." The dog's name is Duke. "Duke." Caleb locks eyes with the animal. "I'm not here to hurt Mama. I'm here to help." Something shifts in the dog's posture. The hackles on its neck slowly lower. The growl fades to a whimper. 45 seconds. Caleb rises slowly, takes one step forward, then another. Duke watches but doesn't attack. The woman's red coat is torn at the shoulder. Blood stains the green scarf around her neck. Her white hair is plastered to her wrinkled face. She's old, maybe 75, maybe 80. Fragile bones, the kind of frame that breaks easily. Caleb reaches her, slides his arms beneath her body, lifts her as gently as he can. She weighs nothing, like holding a bundle of sticks wrapped in wool. Come on, Duke. He starts walking, away from the fire, away from the wreck, into the rain. The dog limps behind them. That's when Caleb notices the blood trailing from Duke's side. Long gashes, deep cuts. The dog is wounded too. 30 seconds. The approaching car is closer now. Its headlights illuminate the scene like a spotlight on a stage. Caleb's legs burn, his arms shake. The woman in his arms is barely breathing. 20 seconds. He clears the blast radius just as the gas tank ruptures. The explosion throws him forward. He twists mid-air, shielding the old woman with his body. They hit the wet pavement together. Caleb takes the impact on his shoulder. Pain shoots through his arm like electricity. But she's safe. She's breathing. Duke crawls toward them, whimpering. The dog licks the woman's hand once, then collapses beside her. The yellow car screeches to a stop. Doors fly open. Voices shout through the rain. Caleb looks down at the woman in his arms, her eyes open again. This time, they focus on his face. You, she breathes. You have his eyes. Before Caleb can ask what she means, she falls unconscious again. Whose eyes was she talking about? Caleb runs. The woman bounces in his arms with each step. Her blood mixes with the rain on his uniform. Duke struggles to keep pace, leaving a trail of crimson drops on the asphalt behind them. The yellow car belongs to Tyrone Mitchell, owner of the only hardware store in Silver Oaks. He's already on his phone, shouting directions to someone on the other end. Get Doc Patterson ready. I got a woman here, bad shape, real bad. Caleb doesn't stop to explain, doesn't ask for a ride. The clinic is 400 yards up the road. He knows this because he's driven past it every day for the last 6 months. Every day, keeping his head down. Every day, avoiding eye contact. Every day, pretending he's just another nobody who moved to a small town to disappear. Those days are over now. His boots pound the pavement. The storm fights him with every step. Wind tears at his jacket. Rain blinds his vision. But he's carried wounded soldiers through worse. He's carried dying friends through hell itself. This is nothing. Duke falls behind. The dog's breathing is ragged, desperate. Caleb glances back. The animal's eyes are locked on its owner. Pure devotion, pure fear. Keep moving, Duke. She needs you to keep moving. 200 yards. The woman's pulse is getting weaker. He can feel it against his forearm. A flutter instead of a beat. Like a butterfly trying to escape a jar. 100 yards. The clinic's lights appear through the rain. A small building with a green awning. The kind of place that handles broken arms and bad flu, not car crash trauma victims. But it's all they've got. 50 yards. The door swings open. Doc Patterson stands there in a wrinkled lab coat. His gray beard is streaked with white. His eyes widen when he sees what Caleb is carrying. Sweet Jesus. She needs help now. Caleb pushes past him into the warmth. Possible internal bleeding, head trauma, been unconscious twice. The examination table is barely big enough. Caleb lays her down anyway. Duke drags himself through the door, collapses on the floor, refuses to take his eyes off his owner. Doc Patterson works fast, stethoscope, flashlight in the eyes, checking vital signs. Her blood pressure is crashing. The doctor's voice is grim. I don't have the equipment for this. She needs a hospital. Storm knocked out the roads. Tyrone appears in the doorway. Radio says no one's getting through until morning. Morning is 8 hours away. The woman on the table has maybe 1. Doc Patterson looks at Caleb. Really looks at him. Takes in the tactical gear, the military insignia, the scars on his hands. You've seen combat, haven't you, son? Caleb nods once. Then I'm going to need your help. Because if we don't stop this bleeding right now, she's going to die on my table. Caleb rolls up his sleeves. What would you do if the only thing standing between life and death was your own 2 hands? 3 hours. That's how long Caleb stands beside Doc Patterson, handing instruments, applying pressure, watching a stranger's blood coat his fingers like warm paint. The woman's name is Clara Whitmore. Tyrone recognized her the moment he walked in. Widow of Henry Whitmore, former town council member, one of the oldest residents of Silver Oaks. She's the one who started the scholarship fund, Tyrone says quietly from his corner. Paid for half the kids in this town to go to college. Caleb doesn't respond. His focus is on Clara's face, on the shallow rise and fall of her chest, on the numbers climbing and falling on Doc Patterson's outdated monitors. Duke hasn't moved from his spot by the door. The dog's breathing is shallow too. Someone, the doctor's assistant, a young woman named Keisha, has bandaged his wounds. But Duke won't eat, won't drink, just watches, waits. Blood pressure is stabilizing. Doc Patterson wipes sweat from his forehead. I think we've got her. The room exhales. Tyrone mutters a prayer under his breath. Keisha reaches down to scratch Duke's ears. Caleb steps back. His hands are shaking now. The adrenaline is finally wearing off. He should leave. This isn't his town. These aren't his people. He came to Silver Oaks to be invisible. But then Clara's eyes open. They find him immediately, lock onto his face like she's been looking for him her whole life. Don't go. Her voice is barely a whisper, thin as paper, fragile as glass. Please. Caleb freezes at the door. I know who you are. Clara's hand trembles as she reaches for something inside her coat. I know what you're running from. The room goes silent. Tyrone's mouth hangs open. Doc Patterson stops writing on his clipboard. Even Duke lifts his head. Clara pulls out a weathered envelope, yellow with age, stained with what looks like old water damage. A wax seal on the back catches the fluorescent light. The seal of Silver Oaks. My husband owed a debt. Her fingers shake as she holds it toward Caleb. He made me promise. Promise that when someone worthy came along, I would give this to them. Caleb doesn't move. I've been waiting 40 years for you. How did this woman know a stranger who just saved her life was the person she'd been waiting for? The envelope sits on the examination table between them. Nobody touches it. Rain hammers the clinic windows. The storm shows no sign of stopping. Inside, the only sounds are the beep of monitors and Duke's labored breathing. Open it. Clara's voice carries a weight that doesn't match her frail body. You've earned the right. Caleb's hands don't move. I don't know what you think you know about me, ma'am, but I'm not the person you're looking for. You have his eyes. Clara's own eyes glisten. Same eyes my Henry described 1,000 times. The eyes of the man who saved his life in Vietnam. A SEAL. Just like you. The temperature in the room seems to drop. Tyrone shifts uncomfortably. Miss Clara, you sure you're not confused? That head wound. My mind is sharper than yours ever was, Tyrone Mitchell. Her tone cuts like a blade. I've spent 4 decades waiting for this moment. I know exactly what I'm saying. Caleb picks up the envelope. The paper feels ancient in his hands. Fragile. Important. He breaks the seal. Inside is a single document. Heavy paper. Official stamps. A deed. A property deed. 200 acres of land on the eastern ridge of Silver Oaks. Forest. Waterfront. The most valuable piece of real estate in 3 counties. This is worth millions. Caleb's voice is flat. disbelieving. Worth more than that. Clara pushes herself up on her elbows. Keisha rushes to help her, but the old woman waves her away. That land has been in my family for 6 generations. My husband's great-great-grandfather bought it when this was nothing but wilderness and wolves. I can't accept this. You don't have a choice. Clara's jaw sets with stubborn determination. Henry's dying wish was that this land go to someone who carries the same honor as the man who saved him. Someone who risks their life for strangers. Someone who runs toward danger when everyone else runs away. Duke whimpers. The dog's tail thumps weakly against the floor. You didn't save just me tonight. Clara looks at her faithful companion. You saved him too. Most people would have left an injured dog behind. Most people would have prioritized themselves. Caleb thinks about that moment. The split second when he noticed Duke bleeding. The decision that didn't feel like a decision at all. Leave no one behind. It's burned into his DNA, tattooed on his soul. There's something else. Clara's expression changes. A shadow crosses her face. Something about that land. Something my husband never told anyone, not even me. She reaches out. Her cold fingers wrap around Caleb's wrist. Henry buried a secret on that property before he died. A secret about what really happened in Vietnam. About why he owed his life to a SEAL he never spoke about in public. The lights flicker. Thunder shakes the building. Whatever is buried there, Mr. Hawk, it's been waiting for you. And once you find it, nothing in Silver Oaks will ever be the same. Caleb stares at the deed in his hands. Stares at the old woman with eyes that suddenly look decades younger. Stares at a future he never saw coming. What secret has been buried for 40 years, waiting for the right person to uncover it? And why did Clara Whitmore seem more afraid than grateful when she spoke about it? Who is that man? The question spreads through Silver Oaks faster than the floodwaters receding from Main Street. By dawn, every diner booth, every church pew, every front porch in town is buzzing with the same conversation. Marla Jenkins at the post office swears she saw military medals in Caleb's trash 6 months ago. Darnell Washington at the gas station claims Caleb paid for a stranger's groceries last winter without saying a word. Old Percy down at the bait shop remembers Caleb pulling his truck over to help change a flat tire during the first snowfall. Small acts, quiet moments, things nobody paid attention to until now. But it's Tyrone Mitchell's account that sets the town on fire. He ran into that storm like it was nothing. Tyrone stands in the center of Ruby's diner, coffee growing cold in his hands. Didn't wait for help, didn't think twice, just grabbed that woman and ran. 17 people crowd around him. More press their faces against the rain-streaked windows. And the dog? Tyrone shakes his head slowly. That German shepherd was ready to tear him apart, but he talked to it, calmed it down, like some kind of animal whisperer. He's got training. Sheriff Deidre Coleman pushes through the crowd. Her uniform is still damp from her overnight patrol. Military training, high level. I've seen those scars on his hands. Those aren't from farm work. The room falls quiet. What kind of training? Someone asks. Sheriff Coleman's jaw tightens. The kind that leaves scars you don't talk about. Outside, the storm has finally broken. Sunlight filters through gray clouds for the first time in 18 hours. But inside Silver Oaks, a different kind of storm is just beginning. I heard Miss Clara gave him something. Deacon Maurice Brown leans forward on his cane. An envelope. Old Tyrone says it had the town seal on it. All eyes turn to Tyrone. I saw what I saw. He sets down his coffee. Whatever was in that envelope, it shook him. First time I saw that man's hands tremble. The Whitmore land. The voice comes from the back of the diner. Everyone turns. Lenora Hayes stands in the doorway. 82 years old. Silver Oak's unofficial historian. She's lived here longer than anyone still breathing. Henry Whitmore always said that land was waiting for someone. Lenora's eyes are sharp despite her age. Said it was promised. Said there was a debt that had to be paid. What kind of debt? The kind that follows bloodlines. Lenora shuffles toward the counter. Henry served in Vietnam, Navy, same as that young man's uniform patches. I remember Henry coming back different, quieter, carried something heavy in his soul until the day he died. The diner is silent now. He told Clara something before he passed. Lenora accepts a cup of tea from Ruby herself. Something he'd never told another living soul. And now she's passed that secret to a stranger. Through the window, the sun breaks fully through the clouds. Its light hits the eastern ridge. 200 acres of prime forest glow golden in the morning rays. The Whitmore land. And somewhere on that property, a 40-year-old secret waits to be discovered. What was Henry Whitmore hiding all those years? And why did he trust a complete stranger to find it? Caleb's boots sink into mud as he steps onto the property. The deed is folded in his back pocket. Duke limps beside him, bandages wrapped around his torso, refusing to stay behind at the clinic. The dog's loyalty isn't to Caleb. It's to Clara. And Clara told Duke to follow. The land is wild, untouched. Pine trees stretch toward the sky like soldiers standing at attention. A creek cuts through the eastern section, swollen from yesterday's rain. Birds scatter as Caleb pushes through underbrush that hasn't seen human footsteps in decades. This isn't just valuable property. This is a sanctuary. He walks for an hour. Duke's nose stays pressed to the ground, tracking scents Caleb can't smell. Following trails Caleb can't see. Then the dog stops. Duke's ears stand straight up. His body goes rigid. A low whine escapes his throat. Caleb follows the dog's gaze. Through a gap in the trees, he spots it. A cabin. Small, weathered. Hidden so deep in the forest that you'd never find it unless you were looking. Or unless a loyal German shepherd led you there. The door hangs crooked on rusted hinges. The windows are clouded with 40 years of grime. Vines crawl up the walls like nature is trying to swallow the structure whole. Caleb approaches slowly. His training kicks in automatically. Check the perimeter. Look for traps. Trust nothing. The cabin is empty. Abandoned. But not forgotten. Inside, dust covers everything. A single table, 2 chairs, a cot in the corner, and on the far wall, a map. Hand-drawn, detailed, showing the entire Whitmore property with one location circled in faded red ink. Below the circle, 2 words are written in shaky handwriting. Forgive me. Caleb's heart pounds against his ribs. The circled location is half a mile north, near the waterfront, where the creek empties into a small lake. Duke is already heading for the door. The dog knows. Somehow, Duke knows exactly where to go. Caleb follows. The terrain grows rougher. Rocks replace soil. The trees thin out near the water's edge. And there, half buried beneath decades of fallen leaves and forest debris, Caleb finds it. A metal box. Military issue. The kind used to store important documents in the field. Waterproof. Fireproof. Built to survive anything. Caleb's hands shake as he digs it free. The lock is rusted but weak. One solid hit with a rock and it breaks. Inside, photographs, letters, dog tags, and a confession written in Henry Whitmore's own hand. The first photograph shows 2 young men in Navy uniforms. One is clearly Henry. The other, Caleb's blood runs cold. The other man looks exactly like him. Same jawline, same build, same intense eyes. On the back of the photograph, faded ink reads, Marcus Hawk, the man who gave his life so I could keep mine. Silver Oaks, 1968. Marcus Hawk, Caleb's grandfather. The man whose name was never spoken in the Hawk family. The man who disappeared during the war and was never seen again. The man whose body was never recovered. Whose fate remained a mystery for over 50 years. Until now. What really happened to Marcus Hawk in 1968? And why did Henry Whitmore spend 40 years hiding the truth? The letters burn in Caleb's hands. He sits on a fallen log by the lake, Duke pressed against his leg, and reads every word Henry Whitmore wrote before he died. The truth unravels slowly, painfully, like peeling back layers of a wound that never healed. Vietnam, 1968. A mission gone wrong. Henry and Marcus were part of the same SEAL team, brothers in arms, closer than blood. They were ambushed, outnumbered, surrounded by enemy forces with no hope of rescue. Marcus made a choice. He stayed behind to cover Henry's escape, drew fire onto himself so his team could survive, gave his life so others could keep theirs. But that's not the secret Henry buried. The secret is what happened after. Marcus didn't die in that jungle. Not immediately. He was captured, held as a prisoner of war, tortured for information he never gave. And Henry knew. Henry received word through back channels that Marcus was alive, that rescue was possible, that a coordinated mission could bring him home. But Henry was scared, broken by what he'd seen, haunted by the guilt of leaving his friend behind. He couldn't face the possibility of going back into that hell. So he stayed silent. He told no one. And Marcus Hawk spent 2 more years in that prison camp before finally dying. Alone, forgotten, never knowing that his friend had chosen fear over loyalty. Caleb's vision blurs. His grandfather, a hero who deserved rescue, who deserved to come home, who deserved to meet the family that would carry his name for generations. Stolen, not by the enemy, but by the cowardice of a friend. Duke whimpers and licks Caleb's hand. The tears come without permission, hot and angry and heavy with decades of unanswered questions. Caleb's father spent his whole life wondering why his dad never came home, died without ever knowing the truth. And now that truth sits in Caleb's lap, scrawled in the guilty handwriting of a man who lived with his shame for 40 years. Henry Whitmore didn't just owe a debt to the Hawk family. He owed them everything. The land, the money. None of it could ever balance the scales. But it was all Henry had left to give. Caleb looks up at the sky. The clouds have cleared completely now. Blue stretches endlessly above the trees. I found you, Grandpa. The words escape in a whisper. I finally found you. Duke howls softly, a mournful sound that echoes across the water. And somewhere in the distance, a bird takes flight. How do you forgive a betrayal that shaped your entire family's history? And what do you do with a legacy built on another man's guilt? Clara Whitmore sits up in her hospital bed when Caleb walks in. 3 days have passed. The storm damage is being repaired. Power has been restored. Life in Silver Oaks is returning to normal. But nothing about this moment is normal. Caleb places the metal box on her bedside table. The photographs, the letters, the dog tags, all of it. You knew. His voice is steady, but his eyes betray the storm inside. You knew what Henry did, what he hid. Clara doesn't look away. I learned the truth 6 months before he died. Found those letters in his study, confronted him about all of it. And you stayed with him. I loved him. Her voice cracks, but doesn't break. Loving someone doesn't mean pretending they're perfect. It means holding the whole truth of who they are. The good and the terrible. Caleb sinks into the chair beside her bed. Duke lies at his feet, head resting on his paws. Henry spent 40 years trying to make up for what he did. Clara reaches for the photograph of Marcus Hawk. Her fingers trace the young man's face. Every scholarship he funded, every family he helped, every act of kindness this town remembers him for. All of it was his penance. It wasn't enough. No. Clara's eyes fill with tears. It was never enough. He knew that. Carried it like chains around his soul until the day he died. Silence settles between them. Why me? Caleb finally asks. Of all the people in this world, why did you choose a stranger to receive this? Clara smiles through her tears. You weren't a stranger, Caleb. You were the answer to a dying man's prayer. She pulls something from beneath her pillow. Another envelope, smaller than the first. Unopened. Henry wrote this the night before he died. Told me to give it to whoever came for the land. Said I would know the right person when I saw them. Caleb takes the envelope, breaks the seal. Inside is a single handwritten note. To the one who carries Marcus's eyes. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in the face of fear. Your grandfather understood this. I did not. But if you're reading this, then perhaps redemption is still possible. Use this land to heal what I could not. Build what I destroyed. And know that whatever good comes from these acres, it belongs to the Hawk name. Forever. With eternal regret and undying hope. Henry Whitmore. Caleb reads the words twice. Something shifts inside his chest. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But understanding. Henry Whitmore was a coward who spent the rest of his life trying to become something better. He failed in the moment that mattered most, and then he dedicated every moment after to atoning for that failure. It doesn't erase the betrayal. Nothing can. But it adds dimension to a man Caleb wanted to hate. What are you going to do? Clara asks quietly. Caleb looks at the dog tags in his palm, his grandfather's name stamped into metal. Marcus Hawk, Navy SEAL, hero. I'm going to build something. His voice is stronger now. A place for veterans, for soldiers like my grandfather who gave everything, and for soldiers like Henry who came home broken and didn't know how to heal. Clara's hand covers his. Marcus would be proud. Maybe. Caleb stands. Duke rises beside him. But I'm not doing it for pride. I'm doing it because it's right. Because running into that storm to save you wasn't a choice. It was who I am, who my grandfather made me, even without knowing I existed. He walks toward the door, then pauses. Thank you, Miss Clara, for being brave enough to tell the truth. She nods, tears streaming freely now. Thank you for being brave enough to hear it. What does it take to transform pain into purpose? And how do we honor those who sacrificed everything, even when we learn they were failed by those they trusted most? 6 months later, the eastern ridge of Silver Oaks looks completely different. Where wilderness once ruled, a new structure rises between the ancient pines. Not a mansion, not a monument, a home. The Hawk Center for Veteran Healing opens its doors on a crisp autumn morning. 37 residents stand on the lawn, men and women who served their country and came home to find the country didn't know how to serve them back. Caleb stands at the entrance. Duke sits beside him, fully healed now, a permanent fixture at his side. The whole town has come. Sheriff Coleman, Tyrone Mitchell, Ruby from the diner, Deacon Brown with his cane, Lenora Hayes in her Sunday best, even Doc Patterson, who helped save Clara's life that stormy night. and Clara herself. Wheelchair-bound now, but smiling wider than anyone has seen in years. Some people spend their whole lives running from their past. Caleb's voice carries across the crowd. No microphone, no notes. Just truth. I know because I was one of them. I came to Silver Oaks to disappear, to escape the weight of wars I couldn't forget and wounds that wouldn't heal. He pauses. Duke leans against his leg. But then a storm came. And in that storm, I found something I didn't know I was searching for. Purpose, connection, a truth about my family that had been buried for 50 years. His eyes find Clara's. My grandfather, Marcus Hawk, died as a prisoner of war in 1970. He never came home, never met my father, never knew that his sacrifice would echo through generations. But his courage lives on, in the blood that runs through my veins, in the instinct that made me run toward danger instead of away from it. The American flag snaps in the breeze above them. This land was given to me in gratitude for one night's actions, but it was owed to my family for a lifetime of wrongs. Today, I'm turning both into something that matters, a place where warriors can rest, where scars can heal, where the weight of service can finally be set down. Applause ripples through the crowd. Later, after the ceremony ends and the visitors drift toward the reception, Caleb walks alone to the lake. The metal box is buried there now, beside a stone marker bearing his grandfather's name, a proper grave for a man who never received one. Duke follows him, always follows him. The water is still, peaceful. Nothing like the chaos of that stormy night when everything changed. I found my place, Grandpa. Caleb speaks to the stone, to the wind, to the memory of a man he never met, but somehow always knew. Took me 40 years to get here, but I'm home now. Duke howls softly, and somewhere in the trees, a hawk circles overhead, watching, waiting, then soaring toward the horizon. A changed man stands where a broken one once stood. A town that kept secrets now builds futures, and a legacy born from guilt transforms into something beautiful. Some storms come to destroy, others come to reveal. And the rarest storms of all come to show us exactly who we were meant to be. What storm in your life has shaped the person you've become? Share your story in the comments below. You never know whose heart you might touch with your truth. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss another journey like this one. Every week, we bring you stories that inspire, transform, and remind you that heroes walk among us every single day. Your support keeps these stories alive. Your comments build a community of people who believe in courage, redemption, and the power of doing what's right. Until next time, remember, the greatest gift you can give isn't measured in acres or dollars. It's measured in the lives you touch when no one is watching. See you in the next story.